going to a school where it's not so hard, I really stood out as like a hardcore guy when I'm not so hardcore in a hardcore school. So it was just no fitting in anywhere. What happened was, I'd end up in these confrontations all the time.
Do everything right and go out there and fight and just make things happen.
Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Octagon Jones. I'm your host, Slick Diaz. This is Scrapbook. We're going to be talking about the UFC as it pertains to what happened last week, what's happening this week, and the in-between, and what all of it means. If you know what I mean, then please make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, share it if you're so inclined. Let's get down to business. Usually, I've got a few segments, right? I like to theme it out all cool. But the weeks have been getting away from me recently. So I'm not going to sit here and match make for every single fight that happened last week like I normally do. And I'm not going to sit and, try to come up with, these narratives of what I could improve on from my picks last week and how I'm always a fool, a silly fool. Today, we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to go over UFC Fight Night, Hermansson versus Strickland, also known as UFC Vegas 46. We're going to talk about what happened because there were some great things, some highlights for sure. And then we're going to dive into this weekend's pay-per-view, UFC 271, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker, the rematch, Stylebender versus the Reaper. Yeah, so I guess let's rewind the tape a little bit. I missed the first fight of the night last week, which, thank the heavens, because apparently, someone was taken down or someone fell to the ground. Dennis Bondar, I don't know how to say his name. Malcolm Gordon walks away with the knockout TKO round 1 victory because when this dude went to the ground and posted, on his arm snapped apparently. And I'm sure it wasn't a lovely sight, and I'm happy I didn't see it because, I'm not necessarily the most squeamish, but I definitely don't like broken bones. So, or whatever it was. I don't even know, but I'm happy I didn't see it. The second fight of the night was Jason Witt versus Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe overcame the early adversity. Jason Witt was kind of taking him down, and then Philip Rowe found the knockout in the second round. If people want to play at distance and on the feet with Philip Rowe, he's going to have a lot of success because people, I don't know, he's got a little bit of an unassuming style and physicality and the way that he moves around the octagon, but the guy's dangerous, man. He's got swagger, he's got heart, he's got a work ethic. I think that the future could be relatively bright for Phil Rowe. I think that, is this his second knockout in a row? No pun intended. I did not mean to do that. But yeah, the Fresh Prince, let's see. Yeah, he knocked out my boy Orion Koshi, too, also in the second round. So if you're in the second round with Philip Rowe, be careful. Phil Rowe's also been competing on the grappling circuit recently. He faced off with the GOAT, Gordon Ryan, in a custom rules match, and he lost via submission. And then he went right back into it a couple months later and lost a decision to Jonathan Piersma. I don't know that guy, but Gordon Ryan I do know. So it looks like he's trying to get some quality reps and build a well-rounded base for moving forward in MMA, which is positive. And it showed. It showed that he can weather somebody else's game plan in order to get back to his own. And Jason Witt tried to implement his, and it didn't work out, and he went night-night. Great. Yeah, it was a great finish from Rowe. Let's see, next we've got... Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. Next, we had the debut of Jilton Almeida. All I'm going to say is keep him on your radar. Don't blink, and make sure to watch his next fight because he is brimming with potential. 15-2, a physical specimen. Jilton Almeida is dangerous in every realm of the fight. Made quick work of Danilo Marquez. Dispatched him rather easily, I would say. He looked great, man. He looked really, really, really good. I wouldn't want to fight him. Alexis Davis got the decision win over Julia Stoliarenko. Chidi Njokwani, I will get better at that one. Chidi Njokwani, I'll guess, knocked Marc-Andre Barrio out in 16 seconds, which is fucking crazy. Marc-Andre Barrio, man, I'm really struggling today. The power bar, he, I believe, had never been finished before that. He lost a few split decisions. And Chidi coming in, making a bang in his promotional debut. 16 seconds, that's hard to beat, dude. It was really exciting. Everybody loves Chidi, and rightfully so, because that was cool as hell. He's 33. I think his brother was an MMA fighter, so be on the lookout because his story's just getting started in the UFC. Then we had Hakeem Dawodu and Mike Trezano fight to a decision. Good fight. Miles Johns and John Castaneda. Everybody was expecting Miles Johns to come in here and get the work done over John Castaneda. Miles Johns had a weird hype around him. There's this certain type of hype that is unheralded. It's a little bit unsung, but everybody picks him. Everybody's sure he's going to be good, and he's just going to win almost every fight he's put into. But Miles Johns, now 12-2, third round submission, courtesy of John Castaneda. Really, really cool performance from John. I always like the late, the final moments stuff. So to get a late round submission is something that is very exciting for me. Miles Johns looking to bounce back next time, but John Castaneda coming up big. Then we had one of the fights of the year so far. Julian Erosa took on Steven Peterson. They went all 3 rounds, and man, it was a dog fight. Steven Peterson is always fun. You may know him from his spinning back fist knockout over Martin Bravo, which was phenomenal. It looked like... Do y'all remember when you were a kid and you'd go to Sonic, right? For my American audience, I don't know if Sonic is international. I highly doubt it. But they used to give out toys that you could put on your fridge. They were magnets, and some of them were gears, where you hook one up to the other and then turn the knob or turn the little handle, and then they rotate like they're gears in function at a factory or something. And that's what that spinning back fist looked like. Martin Bravo threw a spinning back fist. Steven Peterson registered it. Steven Peterson threw a spinning back fist, knocked Martin Bravo out cold. It was beautiful. But Julian Erosa, junkyard dog, dude, never in a boring fight. Julian Erosa is electric, and these boys really put on something special. If you're looking for a great fight to watch, then maybe you missed it. I highly recommend it because I'm sure it's got a lot of replay value. I haven't been able to watch it again, but I would in a heartbeat because that was a very, very fun fight. Next, we had Treyshon Gore coming into the UFC, and trying to right the wrong. He had to pull out of the Ultimate Fighter Championship fight against Bryan Battle before it happened at the finale. And then Bryan Battle ended up having to fight Gilbert Urbina, ended up finishing him, I think. But then Treyshon was like, nah, it was always supposed to be me. And then the former, show mates duked it out. It was a gory battle. Treyshon Gore Bryan Battle threw down. I think Treyshon is still very, very green. Bryan Battle looks to be improving rapidly. It seems that he took his physical training to the next level, and he used his experience, his composure, his readiness, and his veterancy, as compared to Treyshon Gore, mixed with his momentum, becoming the newly christened Ultimate Fighter champion, to get the victory over Treyshon Gore, who everybody was picking to beat him when they were originally booked on the Ultimate Fighter. So, yeah, good looks for Bryan Battle. Walked away with a hell of a contusion on his eye or something, but he said he would like to parlay that into some free drinks that night, so hopefully he finessed a few tall boys or something. Bryan Battle, 8-1. Treyshon Gore now 4-1 at middleweight. Next, we had Sam Alvey taking on Brendan Allen on 4 days' notice, and I loved it. Brendan Allen, round 2 submission over Sam Alvey. It was messy. It was fun. It was hectic. Brendan Allen, 4 days' notice. What can you do? Had to dispatch Sam Alvey one way or another, and he did it. He made it happen, Cap'n. So, big ups, Brendan Allen. I was very excited for that. I always love a late notice legend type lore story, so that was very fun for me. Then we had Shavkat Rakhmonov knocking out Carlston Harris at the end of the first. Beautiful spinning wheel kick, something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was definitely spinning, and it was definitely his heel. So, whatever that technique is, Shavkat Rakhmonov just still barreling through the competition. 15 fights, I think all finishes. Carlston Harris was good, man. I shouldn't say that. Carlston Harris definitely wasn't looking like Shavkat Rakhmonov coming into the fight, though. People had some questions about Shavkat's matchmaking, and they were like, Carlston Harris, that doesn't really make much sense considering, his last fight, but whatever. Shavkat looks great, and for those of you who want Shavkat versus Khamzat right now, eat my shorts. What are you doing? Do you not have an instinctual bone in your body about promotion? That doesn't make any sense. Please exit stage left and reconsider your choices and opinions on MMA. That would be so foolish. So foolish. In the co-main, Punahele Soriano and Nick Maximov squared off, and Nick Maximov got the decision over Punahele Soriano. Nobody likes Nick but me. I love Nick, and I love Punahele too. I picked Nick to win, but he definitely grinded it out, definitely wrestled him, and you kind of have to. Punahele Soriano is a dangerous man, so I'm not mad at it at all. Nick Maximov sounded exactly like Nate on the mic afterwards, which was pretty funny. Everyone was like, oh man, he's trying to be too much like Stockton 209. Bro, he's from Chico, California. Come on. He grew up with those guys. Like, that dude is from that cloth. He is cut from that cloth, of the same ilk. So Nick Maximov, I'm always a fan. And Punahele Soriano, definitely going to bounce back, 8-2, but now Nick Maximov moves on to 8-0. And the main event was something I was pretty excited for. Jack Hermansson, Sean Strickland. I'll be honest, I was pretty sure Jack Hermansson was going to be able to get it done. I thought that I maybe overstated Jack Hermansson's abilities going into this fight. I maybe thought he was a little bit better than he is. And Sean Strickland just basically won that fight, keeping him at distance with a jab and stuffing takedowns. Nothing really exciting. It was a little strange. Sean Strickland at the end of the fight, last 10 seconds after being stone cold quiet, even though everybody always loves him yapping and jabberjawing in the Octagon, last 10 seconds, he threw down vocally and verbally rather, and, started cursing out Jack Hermansson. It was kind of peculiar, but Sean Strickland said he just wanted to get the win because it was the last fight on his contract or something, so you can't be too mad, but it definitely wasn't a statement as far as title contention is concerned, which is a shame because Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland, that matchup was right alongside what's happening on Saturday, which is the co-main, I believe, is Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson. And that also has middleweight divisional title shot contendership implications. So Sean Strickland moving on to 25-3, dude. 20-0 at middleweight. That's pretty crazy. So Jack Hermansson back to the drawing board once again, and Sean Strickland moving on up. He's got to be one fight away from a title shot now. I personally think that we can do. Hold on, check this out. We'll do like a 30-second segment for the matchbook. You ready? The matchbook. I personally would have liked the winner of Hermansson Strickland to fight the winner of Cannonier Brunson, and that may be what happens, but I have a feeling that whoever wins this weekend will probably get the title shot, even though, well, I guess we'll talk about that. That was UFC Fight Night Hermansson versus Strickland. I'd say the most exciting things that happened on the night were definitely Shavkat, coming through with flying colors. Brendan Allen, 4 days notice. Julian Erosa and Steven Peterson had a war. John Castaneda, underdog, third round submission, pretty cool. Chitty, 15 seconds. Jilton Almeida debut. Phil Rowe doing what he do. Pretty good card. It wasn't anything spectacular, but there were certainly some spectacular moments. Now, let's have some fun. Let's get to UFC 271, the rematch. Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. Man, this is a hell of a card. This one's really, 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 really fun. And if you think it's underwhelming, I wouldn't blame you because the name value isn't crazy on the card. But if you know anything at all and you've got a cursory understanding of, the prospect realm and, the names adjacent to like the tops in MMA, then you should be pretty satisfied looking at this card. I'm thrilled. Maybe it's because it's my birthday weekend. Who knows? Maybe I just am looking forward to the rematch of Adesanya Whittaker because that's one of the fight buildups I was most excited for ever. So, I'm a huge Whittaker fan. I love Adesanya as well, but Adesanya definitely showed me the real that night, broke my heart into a million little pieces. Yeah, and I think that, ever since that night, I think even before that, before the fight even happened at 243, I think it was 243, I was probably tweeting, I hope this is going to be a trilogy. I hope this is going to be a trilogy. And I've just always wanted that because it's not every day that you get such a beautiful, natural, organic, holistic rivalry like Adesanya and Whittaker. Neither of these dudes are bad dudes. Both of them are great in their own right, and both of their fan bases absolutely adore them. They represent the same part of the world, but geographically it's a rivalry, and there's some, little personal disputes as far as like identity and stuff, and it's a lot of really cool stuff going on between these guys. Israel Adesanya, citizen of the world, from Nigeria, and then, moved over, I guess, to New Zealand, and then Robert Whittaker, born in New Zealand, moved to Australia at a young age. So going into the first fight, there was a little bit of that, national identity type clash going on. And some of the pressure got to Whittaker. Israel Adesanya shines under the lights and, under the pressure as well. I hate rooting against guys, but you kind of have to when you're rooting for guys, and 'tis the nature of the sport. You kind of got to root for guys if you enjoy this shit. So I'm definitely rooting for Robert Whittaker just because I want to see these dudes fight again and again and again. Because the storyline's great. I love both of them. Both of them are young, relatively in their prime. Robert Whittaker, a former champion. Adesanya, the current champion, the guy who dethroned Whittaker. Whittaker coming back after making, a lot of changes and taking a lot of time to think. He's coming back and he's looking better and better and better in each one of his last 3 fights. So Adesanya has been he went to a decision with Vettori. He's been very busy since their first fight, but I don't know. I think we are poised to see something really, really, really cool happen on Saturday night, February 12th. We've got the co-main, Derek Lewis taking on Tai Tuivasa, the Knockout King versus Bam Bam. I mean, what more do you want out of a co-main? Stand and bang, 2 heavyweights that are guaranteed to do that. This one's gonna deliver. Every time there's a fight like this at heavyweight, and everyone's like, no way it goes the distance, no way it gets out of the first round, I'm like, there's that part of me that definitely wants to call that it's gonna go the distance. And I could see this going the distance. I really could. There's no way. Slick, you're so stupid. What are you doing? Why don't you just jump off a cliff? That doesn't make it easy. Look, save it. I just got a feeling, man. I just got a feeling. I think it'll go the distance. And I think it'll be a blast. Jared Cannonier taking on Derek Brunson. I think that Derek Brunson made a vital error. He said that he's fighting this time and he's fighting one more time, then he's retiring. So there's absolutely no way that the UFC gives him a title shot unless he does something spectacular. And Derek Brunson wins in emphatic ways, I'd say, but he doesn't win in spectacular ways. So even if he wins, which I'm not so sold on, I think that Derek Brunson just kissed his championship potential goodbye. He was on a hell of a run. Blonde Brunson was no joke, but one, I think Jared Cannonier's got the ability to beat him, and 2, Derek Brunson just made a total misstep as far as promotion is concerned, and I don't know if it's salvageable. The UFC, he's not the first guy they want to give a title shot, for real. When you look at Derek Brunson, whatever, but he doesn't have some insane marketing power. He's a meme. He stands with his shoulders wide, and he dyed his hair blonde so people think he's funny. I don't dislike Derek Brunson. I'm sure he's a swell guy and everything, but promotionally, I think he would be such a boring champion. I think he'd be so underwhelming if he were to somehow get that strap, but he wouldn't be a champion anyway because he said he's gonna retire if he gets the belt. So I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Word to Jesse on Fire and word to Chael, probably, because they were also discussing that, but what a clusterfuck. What? I mean, that was poor decision making. I'll leave it at that. Kyler Phillips taking on Marcelo Rojo. Look out for Kyler Phillips, y'all. Marcelo Rojo definitely makes fights really exciting, and he's a dog always, but look for Kyler Phillips to bounce back and do something pretty special. You could see him on the ground submitting someone. You could see him looking like a clinician on the feet. Kyler Phillips is exciting, and once he starts to manage his composure and his gas tank, which he can because he's young and he's learning, I think we're going to see something special from Kyler, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. The opener of the pay-per-view, Bobby Green versus Nasrat Haqparast. Bobby Green's too swaggy to lose. Y'all know this. Andrei Arlovsky taking on Jared Vanderaa. Pretty cool, I guess. Roxanne Modafferi's retirement fight, taking on the 8-0 Casey O'Neill. We've seen something like this before. Roxanne Modafferi, I think she took on Macy Barber. Everyone was pretty sure Macy Barber was going to beat her, and that was going to be it for Roxy. And then Roxy just got in her face and did what Roxy did. Macy sustained an injury, and then, Roxy walked away with the W. But Roxy's 25-20, y'all. And Casey O'Neill is not Macy Barber. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of that. I think that it'll be a good contested fight. I think that Roxanne Modafferi's definitely got the skills and the experience to hang in there if we don't see a Casey O'Neill finish. But, I think all the respect in the world to Modafferi, and I think going to decision would honestly be a cool send-off, but I'm going Casey O'Neill there. I'm not trying to give you all my picks, but that's just kind of what happens when I'm running through the card. Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell's kind of unknown in the division, and I'd say Perez is a little more known, but not much. Perez lost via leg kick a while back, which was, kind of disconcerting if you're an Alex Perez fan. Schnell has been shown to be a tad chinny, I think, at times. Let me make sure I'm not making that up. I think he's been bombed on once or twice. Oh, yeah, Pantoja knocked him out in the first. Yeah, he's been knocked out. Yeah. But he's also got range. He's got a nice, finesse to his game. He's coming off a decision. Or no, actually, what happened? I don't know what happened with this Bontarine fight, but before that, went to a split decision with Tyson Nam, hard hitter. Rogerio Bontarine probably is of a similar physicality to Alex Perez in a sense. I think that those fights could actually look pretty similar. What else? Let's see. Let's go back to the card. William Knight taking on Maxim Grishin. William Knight is an absolute freak. He's got his own more dates episode, if that tells you anything. I'm pretty sure it's him. Dude can do a backflip at light heavyweight standing. He's probably got like an 80-inch vertical. Dude is nuts. Taking on Maxim Grishin, the much taller fighter. There's going to be a big height gap, big reach gap. There's an age and experience gap, too. William Knight's got 13 fights, and Maxim Grishin has got almost 45. So, something to keep in mind there. Oh, come on. Right before I get to the last bit, you're going to disconnect? All right, please stand by. All right. So, at the top of the early prelims, we got Leomana Martinez taking on Ronnie Lawrence. Leomana Martinez, I believe, is Adrian Yanez's teammate at bantamweight. 9-2. He's got a nice punch on him. I think he was unsuccessful in his UFC debut. Let's double check to make sure. The Mana boy, that I'm not lying on his name. Oh, he got a win. I was lying on his name. He got the split decision win over Guido Canetti. That's right. Ronnie Lawrence looked great in his, I think he's only had, he had a UFC debut over Vince Cachero, and he won in the third round via ground and pound. It was a very convincing fight. It was a great performance. I do believe Ronnie Lawrence should probably be heavily favored here. I'm not sure, though. I've only seen Leomana fight once or twice. Same with Ronnie, but I was admittedly pretty impressed with Ronnie Lawrence. I hope both teams have fun. And if Leomana pulls off something cool in his home state, that would be wicked, wouldn't it? Yeah, 25 years old, and Ronnie Lawrence is only 29. Next, an exciting scrap. Alexander Hernandez versus Sanato Moycano. I did a whole mini video about this, but I'm not going to post it. I'm just going to talk about it here. Alexander Hernandez, a bit up and down in the UFC, a bit disliked amongst most fans of the UFC because of his stint with Cowboy, his trash talk gone wrong moment. But I think he's used, the time after to learn and grow as a martial artist. I'm definitely biased because we're both fighting out of San Antonio, as the verbiage would go. But Alexander Hernandez, 13-4, 29 years old, taking on the vet, the big name, Sanato Moycano. I think that I think Alexander Hernandez is going to make a statement in Houston. I think he's upset about being on the early prelims, which, maybe rightfully so. He's a bigger name than a lot of the people that are ahead of him, and Hanato is as well. but the UFC kind of does it strategically. They kind of counterbalance their cards, so some exciting stuff happens all the way throughout. And they know Alexander Hernandez puts on exciting fights. The stakes are nice. I think that this is actually a nice spot for him, even if he doesn't like it. I will say I don't like his nickname change. He's changing from Alexander the Great Hernandez to Alexander probably the Great Ape, or the Ape. The Ape would be better, but the Great Ape is weird, in my opinion. Regardless, I'm still Team Hernandez till the death of me, because, I mean, how can you not love someone repping your hometown? But I think that he is going to come in and execute in a lot of ways. I think he's looking to put together a well-rounded and dynamic performance against Sanato in front of the Texas crowd. I think we're either going to see like a 3-round clinic almost, and that's tough to say, and that's admittedly a little bit bold because Sanato's good and Alex has been up and down. But I think we're either going to see a dominant 3-round performance or a big, nice finish, maybe even quick. I almost don't want to say it's going to happen in the first round, but what could pop the top off of the Toyota Center in Houston more than Alexander Hernandez coming up huge in the first round against Sanato? I mean, that'd be kind of storybook. Trying to put together a winning streak in front of the Texas crowd, disgruntled about his card placement, and then boom. Here's the thing. People don't like that he's young and he's brash and he's opinionated and he's coming out and people don't even like that he's talking about his place on the card, which I think is ridiculous. If you listen to some of the people who know the business the best, which is probably, in my opinion, Chael Sonnen, he always talks about guys need to do favors for themselves. Alexander Hernandez didn't like something and is talking about it. He's talking about it, which is more than 90% of fighters ever do. So you have to give him a check on that box off the bat. And he is well-spoken. He does well to promote himself, even if he comes off as a heel sometimes. I think that he's going to get a big pop in Texas. I really do. It's going to be something special. I think that he's got lots of room to grow and become a great fighter. I really do. Hernandez. I am so excited. I didn't think I'd be this excited for a Moycano Hernandez fight in the early prelims, but I am stoked for that one. Put on for Saytown, Alex. I'm really, really, really stoked. I think you're going to make a statement. You're not hearing this, but I just shifted the perspective, and now I'm talking to you. Yeah, man. Don't blink on that one. Not to take Kai Kara France's slogan, but people... Man, I don't know. I'm not trying to get too hung up on this, but I don't know if people called him boring, but he definitely gets, some negative feedback. And maybe it is because he's up and down, and maybe that's just it. But if people actually sat back and watched him fight, they'd realize, damn, this kid's actually really, really exciting. He's a little bit electric, in my opinion. He's got, he's explosive. I hate to overuse the term dynamic, but his mindset going into this is one of dynamism. His interviews this week have been talking about how he wants to really be effective more so than just wanting to be exciting and a ball of energy and testosterone. And like he just, instead of blowing the load, he wants to have sustained success throughout the evening. So, yeah, I think he has had a few performances where he had some cardio issues, and he's trying to make amends and also string it all together. He said, I'm definitely not a specialist. I'm not one of these guys who is the best at one thing. I'm not the best at anything except potentially putting it all together, which is something that from a young guy looking to focus on just being effective in all areas, I think that's super promising. So I don't have enough positive words to say about Alexander Hernandez. I think that y'all are asleep because he's got promotional potential and potential in the Octagon as well. Don't be surprised if he cuts a mean promo after a win, dude, and lights the crowd on fire. Don't be surprised. He's going to kick the door down. I'm pretty sure. This next fight's going to be pretty wild. We got Carlos Ulberg and Fabio Charante. I think Charante has already fought twice in the UFC and has lost both times. And Carlos Ulberg debuted against Kennedy Nchekwu, and it was supposed to be kind of a layup, and then he ended up gassing out, and it wasn't. And he got stopped, I think. And Fabio Charante, the Water Buffalo, I think is his nickname. He debuted against Alonzo Menefield and got subbed in the first, and then William Knight knocked him out in the first. So, hasn't been pretty for Fabio. Has not been pretty. But it wasn't pretty for Carlos either. So, this is honestly not a bad matchup. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'll probably lean the CKB boy because I'm sure Izzy was up his ass after that. Like, I really think that team dynamic is great down there, and I think that he's going to definitely come in more composed and more prepared. I think that Carlos Ulberg will probably take it. Next, we've got a debut at middleweight, AJ Dobson, the 6-0 fighter with 1 no contest, taking on the 5-1 Jacob Malkoun. Jacob Malkoun is, I believe, an Australian dog. Let's see. Is he also from Australia? Come on. Pretty sure. Oh, come on, yo. Yep, okay. Yes, he is. I just didn't want to misspeak, man. I know these things, but then I'm like, is that right? So, yeah, he's from Australia amidst, Ty and Robert, and then Casey O'Neill also fights out of Australia, I believe. So, or maybe she was born in Australia and fights out of Scotland. It's one way or the other. But, yeah. We got, I mean, I don't know how that fight's going to go, really. I don't know much about AJ Dobson, and Jacob Malkoun is fine. He's, he probably his 3rd or 4th fight in the UFC now. I guess we can double check that. Yeah, it's going to be his 3rd fight, 3rd fight. He fought Abdul Razak Al Hassan and Phil Hawes previously in his UFC tenure. Then, this fight, I'm not really interested in at all. We got Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Sergey Morozov. Honestly, couldn't care less. And then we have Jeremiah Wells taking on the debuting Blood Diamond. Izzy's hyping this guy up to be special, unorthodox, unpredictable. I think he's 33 or something. He's 3-0, so he's obviously very green. Jeremiah Wells is a physical force, but he's a little bit older. He's 9-2 in the UFC. He's also maybe had 3 fights in the UFC. I'd say smart money's probably on Jeremiah Wells, but, scared money don't make money. If you're a betting man, the champ says that Mike Mathetha, who goes by Blood Diamond outside of the cage and in, so don't get caught slipping and call him Mike, because I'm pretty sure he just goes by Blood Diamond, and that's wicked. Apparently he is an extremely athletic and versatile kickboxer and striker on the feet. I'd say Jeremiah Wells definitely got to watch out. Rangy, athletic, and creative. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But 3-0, it's a little concerning. But he's 3-0, and he already has a submission. So, I don't know. I guess that might be all I got. I really don't know what else. I'd say the people I'm most excited for that you should be looking out for. You don't want to miss this card at all, guys. You don't want to just log in on the main card or the main event. You got to watch the first fight of the night. Blood Diamond is making his UFC debut. And Jeremiah Wells, definitely no joke. He's a problem. And then soon after that, you got another undefeated prospect making their debut. And then you got a CKB project trying to, bounce back and get a win in the UFC against, someone else who, has a little bit. I mean, Fabio Charante, he's got some physical tools on him. He really does. It just seems like he needs to get it together upstairs. And then you can't miss Alexander Hernandez. Must-see TV as far as I'm concerned. Then Casey O'Neill, undefeated, king. You want to be there early on the fighters like her. She is really, really good. a couple weeks ago, she came out with a clip that said, I'm going to need a lawyer. I'm going to need a lawyer. They got lawyers in Texas because I'm about to catch a murder charge. So that was a good line by her. She's obviously got an alpha winner's mindset. So that's definitely promising. Casey O'Neill, don't want to miss it because pretty soon she's going to be the next big thing. Or she is the next big thing, and pretty soon she's going to be the big thing. Andrei Arlovsky looking to piece together even more of a win streak. Can't ever miss the old dog, the pit bull. Bobby Green, Texas loves him. It's going to be a great pop to start off the pay-per-view. You can't miss that one. Kyler Phillips, the Matrix. Kid's electric. He's fighting Marcelo Rojo, who's an absolute animal. Like, he gets in gritty, drag-him-out fights, so that one's going to be fun no matter how it happens. Cannonier taking on Blonde Brunson, the undefeated sensation. Man, heavyweight scrap as the co-main. Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. I just listed the whole card because the whole card is exciting. You don't want to miss it. I'm fucking pumped, and I guess I'm also out of here. Make sure to slap all those subscribes and likes and, whatevers. Peace.